So let's start. We're going to talk about new functionality enhancements which appear in PortaSwitch in the recent releases. This webinar is hosted by me, Andriy Zhelenko, Chief Technical Officer for PortaOne, and Mike Kidik, Senior Project Manager at PortaOne. We will do several distinct parts of the webinar. We're going to talk about functionality which appear in our core product, so the changes, enhancements within PortaSwitch, PortaBilling, PortaSIP itself. We will talk about integrations with third parties with it, so something which allows you to provide new services, optimize your network infrastructure, gain additional revenue by expanding your ecosystem. We'll present our plans for the near future, and as usual, one of the most valuable parts of this webinar, we are here to answer your questions live. So if you need any clarification, if you would like to get more information about something which is being discussed or some PortaSwitch functionality in general, you're welcome to submit your question in the Q&A window. So my only request is be mindful and put their requests which are interesting for general audience. If there's a specific topic, we can always discuss it offline, but we'll try to answer all of your questions. So let's start. I'm passing the microphone to Mike Kidik, who will talk about new functionality and enhancements within PortaSwitch.
Thank you, Andrew. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I see a few people connected from Europe, so good evening to our European customers. Let me switch to my screen. Okay. I hope you can see the presentation now. So let's speak about the new features that were introduced in the recent maintenance releases. We've added the transcoding functionality to our soft switch. Transcoding is basically converting the media stream from one codec to another. And the typical situation when this is required is, for example, when you provide some sort of applications, like mobile applications or even desktop applications. And among those applications, codecs like Speak, ILBC, Opus are very popular. But then usually on your termination side, you always have at least one vendor, one carrier who only supports G729 or only supports G711. And in order to combine those customers with mobile apps with specific carrier, because maybe they provide the best quality, maybe they provide a better price for termination, you need to convert the media stream. So transcoding is now supported. You can see the list of supported codecs on your screen. And don't worry, the very popular codec Opus is going to be added next shortly. Another useful feature was added. It's called transrating. It's basically converting the media stream from one p-time to another. P-time controls how often audio is encoded into a packet and sent over the network. So typical p-time is 20 milliseconds. That's something which is most widely used. But there are some networks where short p-time, like 20 or 10 milliseconds, are not doable or are not feasible to implement. For example, satellite networks or any other networks with high latency. You get much better audio quality if you go with a longer p-time, with larger packets that include the audio. P-times like 50 or 60. And again, a lot of carriers, a lot of media gateways, a lot of switches will not entertain non-standard p-time like 50 or 60. So you need some tool which will convert media stream from 20 millisecond or from 50 millisecond p-time to 20 millisecond p-time. And that's what PortaSIP can do in the recent releases. We've run performance tests on servers which are, I would say, under medium specs. And we squeezed out 500 to 800 simultaneous calls per physical machine. As I mentioned, those machines were had below average specs. So obviously on some modern CPUs, on some modern hardware, I would expect this number to be at least doubled. Still, the number is going to be lower than simple, RTP proxying of the media stream. And that's quite natural because proxying of the media stream is less CPU intensive than converting media stream from one codec to another, basically decoding and encoding using a different codec. So that's why the performance is lower than for simple RTP proxying. But the good news is that the transcoding and translating come out of the box. You don't need any external solutions. You don't need to invest into third-party solutions. You get that functionality out of the box, and you can connect whatever customers you have to whatever carriers you have codec-wise. Another useful feature is for those installations which are deployed on geographically redundant sites or maybe just in 2 different data centers in the same city. But anyway, there is always a task of establishing direct communication between 2 sites, and not only direct communication, but also secure communication. So we do have VPN now easily managed from within PortaSwitch. On the web interface of the configurator, you can, by a few clicks and just specifying the public IP address of another PortaSwitch, you can get the VPN connection, secure VPN connection using IPSec up and running. So there is no need to invest into additional routers, into some sophisticated command line configuration. It's all very simple, just a few clicks in the configurator, and you have your VPN between the sites up and running. We are proud to announce the introduction of our own mobile application, which is called PortaPhone. It is based on Acrobit's Cloudsoft phone. It's not our proprietary development. It's a branded version of the Cloudsoft phone, but there are a few distinct features which make this proposition unique. So PortaPhone is bundled together with PortaSwitch, and just like PortaSwitch, it comes with unlimited license. So there is no charge per user who downloaded and installed the app, but maybe never use it after that. There is no charge per specific feature. The license is all-inclusive and unlimited in terms of users. Another important thing is that if you go directly with Acrobit and you get your branded version of Cloudsoft phone, you need at least one backend component, which is a push server, which is required for push notifications, obviously. No matter if you use iOS-based version or Android-based version, you still need this piece of backend infrastructure. Typically, Acrobit's provided hosted in their cloud, a hosted solution. But for those customers who have PortaSwitch deployed in a private cloud on your own hardware, you can use the same private cloud to deploy a push backend. And the same goes for WebRTC solution. Again, for Acrobit, it's always deployed in the cloud. But in our case, for PortaPhone, you can have WebRTC deployed in your local data center or together with your PortaSwitch. Another important thing is that we try to focus PortaPhone for business customers. So we added, for now, only the most popular features, but we will keep adding more features that can be managed from within the application. So basically, there is a mobile version of self-care portal built into the application. The application is obviously pre-integrated with PortaSwitch, just like Cloudsoft phone is. And as I mentioned, it comes with unlimited license. We are publishing, the application itself is not available in the market yet. We are publishing the application literally as we speak. So it will take, I don't know, a couple more days. Probably next week, it will be available in the markets. I mean, a demo version of PortaPhone, the one which is hooked up to our demo platform. there is always a task to integrate Porta billing with third-party systems. Like, I don't know a single customer where at least some sort of integration hasn't been done. Those external systems can be anything. It can be parts of the mobile core, like HSS in our example. It could be an IPTV streaming system. It could be a CRM platform, a SalesForce platform, accounting system, you name it. As you know, we already have an event-based framework, ESPF, on this diagram, which was able to pass the information to external system when some event in the billing is triggered. We now introduced a much easier and a more secure way to do the integration. Right now, Porta billing can send very basic messages over HTTP to external application. Those messages could be something like, a new account with ID such and such has been created. A customer with ID such and such has been modified, and so on. Now, the middleware or enterprise bus or external platform that is developed by your in-house developers or the third-party company can use Porta billing API if it needs some additional information about this event, like a new account is created. And it can talk to external systems using the API available in those systems. So basically, the middleware is completely isolated. It only works through the API. And this minimizes the risk of those third-party developers messing up something in your billing platform, messing up something in your external systems. As I mentioned, middleware is fully isolated in this case. And the other important thing is that it gives you more flexibility. Since events are very basic HTTP events, HTTP notifications, you can use any programming language to develop the handlers, to develop this middleware. So you are now not limited to any specific programming language. You can use whatever language you like. So there is more flexibility in doing the integrations. Since we do have some European customers on this webcast, I will touch on a few things related to GDPR. Even for American customers, I know that we have at least several customers in the United States and Canada that do serve European customers. And the moment you have a customer that is based in Europe, you fall under GDPR compliance. The operations fall under GDPR requirements. So the requirements, as you know, are very strict when it comes to handling of personal information. And they are even worse. I mean, those requirements are even more sophisticated when you need to pass that personal information outside of European Union. So when you have your billing administrators outside of EU, you need to implement all the procedures and requirements from GDPR. Sometimes it's not really feasible. If you have just a single administrator working from, I don't know, from Canada, for example, it's not always feasible to implement all those rules. Also, if you use, for example, managed services provided by PortaOne, so you have part of your team physically residing in Ukraine, you would also want to limit access of the team to personal data. And that's what what you can do with the recent version of PortaSwitch. We've introduced a feature in access levels, which allows you with a single click to limit or basically to block personal information or to hide personal information from a specific user in Porta billing. So for that specific administrator in Canada or for your team in Ukraine, you could set up a user with no access to personal information. The way it works is that everywhere on the web interface, personal information like name, last name, email address, phone number, even the MAC address of the device that the customer is using as the device that is being provisioned by PortaSwitch, all that information is hidden. When it comes to invoices, the platform will generate 2 copies of the invoice. One invoice which contains full information and the second copy which has kind of anonymized personal data in that invoice. So with this solution, your operations will be fully compliant with GDPR, which would save you from millions of euros of fines. And there is also one more feature which basically allows the user that stops using the service to request to be forgotten. I mean, for personal information to be deleted. This is done again with a simple click. When you terminate a customer, you can mark that personal information has to be removed after a certain period of time. And let me update you on the current status of the new web interface. As I mentioned during the previous webcast, it's not called the new web interface anymore. It is the default web interface of Porta Billing. And as I mentioned, the plan is to finish moving all the functionality from the old interface into this new modern web interface. It is still the plan. We still plan to finish this migration by the end of 2018. And now it's easier to manage a few major features that are still missing in the new web interface. Those are the tariff upload wizard, fraud traffic profiles, and all kinds of portals for your resellers, distributors, and representatives. The plan is still to finish this functionality by the end of 2018, and then the old interface will be discontinued sometime in early 2019. Don't worry, we are well aware that there are some small bits and pieces missing in various places on the in the already developed pages of the new interface. We keep a full track of these things, and still we plan to finish all these things, all the small missing pieces, by the end of 2018. We are getting feedback from our customers that navigation in the new interface is much easier. And when we ran performance tests for the new interface, we've got performance 6-7 times faster. I mean, the new interface would performs 6-7 times faster than the old web interface. So those of you who are still running the old versions or didn't have a chance to try the new web interface, I would strongly encourage to give it a try and to start getting used to the new web interface, because it's going to be the only web interface in 2019. Thank you, and I'm passing the microphone back to Andrew.
And I just would like to add that the features Mike have been talking about, obviously these are not the only features we have developed in the last 6-8 months. These are just the most important ones, the ones which we feel are worth mentioning here in the webinar. But if you would like to get more information about small things which were developed and things which we have, we did on other parts of application, you're always welcome to go to our website. We publish new features guide for all of the releases, and you can find more information there. Okay, and let me switch back to my own sharing.
Andrew, shall I stop sharing on my side?
Yes, please, yes. I'm trying to switch, yeah, okay.
Okay, I did it. As Andrew mentioned, this is the first time we are doing webcast using Zoom. We've done a few meetings before, of course, so we have experience with the platform, but this is the first time we do the webcast.
Okay, so let's talk about the integrations we did with other parts, so third-party application systems. During the previous webinar we did in March, we were talking about the real-time charging integration we did with Yate EPC. Now we have added provisioning into Yate HSS. And Yate offers very cost-effective, very low-scale solution which is suitable for small MVNOs, for IoT deployments, So we want to give you ability to have this custom tailored smaller pieces of a solution. And also together with Yate, we're working on potentially delivering a solution for network slicing, which would allow to deploy projects. And IoT is a perfect example of that. When you have an existing core network of some mobile operator, they don't want to allow you to go and do a lot of things there, but also we need a lot of flexibility and being able to change things rapidly. So the natural solution for that is to do network slice, and then all of the IoT devices, they will be using separate network core, separate DOSS, which in this case can be porta billing, and which will allow you to do very agile development. And another HSS integration we did is for ADAX. ADAX provides a compact EPC solution also for LTE, which is good for rural deployments, as a private LTE to cover a university campus or some large factory. And we did a few deployments where they're covering some small city or village in remote areas. So we provision data into their HSS to allow automated service activation. And traditionally, porta billing, it's BOSS. So we take care about service management, charging, invoicing. So for us, things really start to matter when customer signs a contract and the order is provisioned, fulfilled. But what about the pre-sale cycle? What about the ability to work efficiently there? Because the CRM part, which we have, it's designed, it's oriented to work with the existing customer to allow product review, to allow troubleshooting, and allow other things. So we believe that every company should focus on something they're good at. So we are partnering with SalesForce, which is probably considered to be a leader in the CRM field, especially in this pre-sale cycle. The idea is when you have your customers already in porta billing, you want to do some upsell, you want to do maybe provide additional add-ons product for them. You want to be able to use this as your additional revenue source. So on the porta billing side, we have created extended API, which allows dynamic querying of the customer information. For instance, you can say, well, who are my customers based in California who already have smart call product, but who don't yet have this international discounted calling, who haven't purchased this 10,000 of bundled minutes of calls within the country. So give me the list. That list becomes a lead list. So campaign is created in SalesForce, and then you can apply the whole power of SalesForce by doing marketing automation, doing promotions, doing messaging. And when a customer finally is willing to buy, the new product configuration, this additional product this change can be done directly from a Salesforce interface. That means you can have a sales team and they're using only porta billing. Mike, I think your microphone should be muted. And this allows your sales team, they will work entirely within Salesforce. You don't need to train them on porta billing, and they'll be just working there and trying to maximize revenue. So the application, which is a part of Salesforce that's already developed, we're in the process of getting it certified and published in the Salesforce App Store. And of course, we're looking to expand the functionality there. So if you have some specific use cases, if you would like to work with us, come back to us, talk, and we can discuss what else can be extended there. Another integration we did is with Calyx. Calyx is a supplier of a network infrastructure for internet service providers. In this case, specifically, we're talking about fiber optics, fiber to home service. So we do integration with Calyx CMS, which is a control and management tool for the network. So from porta billing side, it will allow automatic enablement of a service when customer signs up, or if customer hasn't paid, then it would automatically deactivate the service. So it's automated provisioning, and then of course the ability, once you establish the basic high-speed data connectivity, ability to upsell additional services such as VoIP or APTV and so on. And ETOM, it's not actually a system, it's more methodology. And Teamform, it's an association of probably more than 1,000 various telecom operators and vendors whose idea is to introduce some common standards. And the main idea is that infrastructure for telecom operator is too large and too complex to be covered by a single solution from a single vendor. So you do have to mix and match, you do have to combine different components. So Teamform provides various frameworks, and ETOM, it's a description of the processes. Basically, it's a common language. It's a definition of a structure of those processes that, although some elements, some participants of the process may be from vendor A, B, and C, they all join together, they all work properly, and they all provide a seamless experience. So we were doing certification for the parts which we cover, which was about 20-something items in the customer service management domain. For instance, SalesForce, they're also ETOM certified, so they cover the part which actually relates to the CRM. So it's a good illustration of how things works. So it's, for you, it's an ability to deploy new projects, especially with the complex infrastructure, easier, knowing, okay, we are coherent to the Teamform specifications. And let's talk about what's going to be happening next, what's going to happen in the near future. So where do we stand right now? The current long life release and maintenance release 70. We have just released leap forward release maintenance 73 last week. The next long life release is expected in January, and the next leap forward maintenance release 74 will be available in November. Right now, we do have some customers who are still running an older releases. So just a reminder, at this moment of time, maintenance release 50, which was released in 2015, and maintenance release 55, which was released in 2016, they're both end of life. And maintenance release 60 will be end of life in January 2019, so fairly soon. And for customers who are on those older releases, we understand that there may be a situation which led to this. At the same time, from our side, we cannot provide such quality support as you expect to on the older releases, because, for instance, an engineer who joined us 4 years ago, who was trained on maintenance release 50, by this time he probably already advanced to some senior position, and he doesn't want to be in the night shift and be able to help it all the time. So we do offer an option of extending support contract for certain time if you need more time to do migration in a traditional way. So from release 50 to 55, and from 55 to 60, 60 to 65, and so on. Or, as we discussed, as a better alternative, there's a dual version migration available, which allows to launch a new system, so-called Alter Ego, which will run in parallel to the existing one. That system can be updated to a new release, and in this case, it's going to be release 70. And then the migration is done in small batches. So you move some pilot set of customers, observe them there, wait until everything's fine, address any issues, but if there's issue found, it only affects a handful of customers, and then keep doing so. And customers and your carriers, they all connect through Dispatch and SBC. For instance, so it directs the calls to the system a customer currently resides. So there's no reconfiguration required in the customer side. Customers don't really notice anything. The same thing applies if there's a request comes through the API from self-care portal, from third-party application, or from the OCS. So this allows more controlled migration, and most important, in this case, it will allow you to do kind of a long jump from release 55 directly to 70, and then you can enjoy all the great features we've been talking about so far. Our development plans for the near future are to enhance new web interface, as we said, add there some role-based presentations, and the idea is that if you have an IP-centric customer, and we already have the tag, so we know already this is an IP-centric customer, this is a mobile subscriber, this is an ISP customer, we know that. So now we can actually present things different, and we can rearrange the view, because some things like IP-centric configuration, they don't make much sense for mobile subscribers. We will do further enhancements on the architecture to allow better management and better operation of the system for microservices. IoT seems to be one of the very promising revenue sources for current telecom operators. So we will keep expanding the infrastructure of integrations to give you the right tools to build the solution you need. And as always, we are open for your feature requests. If there is some functionality which you feel would be beneficial, will allow you to provide better service and get more revenue, we can work together on prioritizing the development and put it into one of the upcoming maintenance releases. One of the new add-on products we plan to introduce soon is PortaBI, and that is for business intelligence, analytics, and dashboards. The idea is, well, first of all, we will use dedicated professional tool embedded into that, and this is TIBCO JasperSoft. So we'll do an OEM licensing deal, so there will be significant savings there compared to just purchasing this tool directly. And there is going to be a predefined set of dashboards, which then can be plugged in and activated on default PortaPhone web interface. But most important, we realize that we try to provide a set of reports, but there always are some difference in different requirements, and you always want something slightly different, or maybe something totally different, which makes sense for your organization. So in this case, this PortaBI product will come with its own user UI tool for customizing reports, building new reports, and it's intuitive, so you don't have to know the actual details, you don't have to know SQL. We'll provide a definition of domain, which converts the internal table structure of PortaBilling into attributes such as customer balance or customer activation date or customer termination date, which makes sense for anybody who's familiar with the business operations. And then using UI tool, you can just click, drag and drop and create your own reports and dashboards. This is going to be an add-on product, and because there's a license in there for JasperSoft, but I think overall it will provide a very good value for customers who would like to get this additional analytics and insights into their operations. As I said, we plan the availability in early 2019, but if you are interested in doing some pilot testing, if you want those reports, or if you have already some reports which you're doing right now in-house and you'd like to reduce the amount of manual operations, talk to us, and we can work together to actually get something to you delivered even earlier than that. It's always great to have a face-to-face meeting. Right now we have a few trade shows lined up. The GITEX show in Dubai, today was the last day, so we probably kind of missed that. The next, and the same with for FutureCon in Brazil. There is upcoming trade show in Africa, AfricaCon, and then IT Expo in Fort Lauderdale in January. And there is going to be the Mobile World Congress in February. So if you have an opportunity to go there and meet PortaOne team in person, that would be great. Another way to keep in touch with us and have a face-to-face conversation is an on-site training session. And all of our premium PortaCare customers, they actually have that 2-day workshop every year included in the contract. So it's free. There are the only thing which is extra travel expenses because of the travel expenses to Vanuatu, where we had the deployment in 2018, are fundamentally different than travel expenses from Vancouver to Toronto. So you can do this, and even if you have a regular PortaCare contract, still you can organize those refreshment sessions, and it's usually a very good thing. We did know, how many of them in the last 10 years, I have never heard customers who would say, well, this knowledge we received, this configuration review we did, this best practices we learned, it wasn't valuable. It wasn't. Everybody agrees it was a very good investment of their time. And another thing which is a bit new, some of you may not be aware of, we have introduced the position of customer success managers. And this would be an individual within PortaOne who is directly attached to you. And the goal is to have them as a part of your team, to be on your side and work as project coordinator within PortaOne. So in case if you're launching a new service or there is some fairly complex project which requires coordination of activities from your side, maybe some partners, development, support from PortaOne side, this could be your main point of contact and somebody who will do proper coordination. And they have authority to allocate additional engineering resources. They have authority to organize on-site trainings. If managed services are going to be required, and we do have few customers who are using that, they can organize that for you and they can assist you with anything else. The idea is to use this as a communication channel, and well, probably we won't have time to talk every day, but at least once every few months or so. So we know about what is going on your side, we know what kind of project you're working on, and we try to help you there. So that concludes the presentation portion of our webinar. So now let's talk about the questions which were submitted. And I've seen there were a few questions about PortaPhone, so let me just reiterate that. So PortaPhone is an add-on product. So it's not a part of PortaSwitch, so it does require a separate fee. It's a software as a service subscription. What it gives you, it gives you ability to run services such as push servers or WebRTC on your existing PortaSwitch infrastructure. It gives you ability to access the customization portal and create your own copy of application with your own brand name, with your own logo, and so on. And there's quite a bit of options available there. So you can talk to us and we can organize one of our application engineers to actually help you with the initial configuration. So once you do that, it will build an application for you, which you then publish into iTunes Store or App Store under your name. So it's fully yours, fully customizable. And there was a question about which maintenance release it's compatible with. So it's a SIP phone, right? So potentially it can work with an older release and nothing prevents it from building an app and running it there. However, so like the push servers and things, they do require newer release. And also some of the integrations we did, for instance, for doing verification or for doing feature management from the side. So that part, it actually does require maintenance release 73. So from that perspective, it is a good idea to start using it on a newer system.
There is actually one more fundamental feature, and that's actually provisioning of the PortaPhone, which is implemented in MR73. And in order for the app to be provisioned with customer credentials, with SIP credentials, it does require the latest version to be installed, because the provisioning is included in PortaSwitch, just like it works for IP phones, in slightly different way, of course, because it's an app, it's not an IP phone, but in slightly different way, it does provisioning into PortaPhone. So the user never enters SIP credentials manually. Those SIP credentials are provisioned by PortaSwitch.
Okay, and there was a question about the dual versions. So dual version, it's not mandatory. You're not required to use it. You can still do the updates traditional way, but it seemed to be a bit counter-efficient when you have an opportunity to do update in a controlled way with a minimum risks. And also, especially for somebody who is still maintenance release 55, if you do it the normal way, you You will have to execute first update to release 60, then to 65, then to 70. And each of these updates, it requires preparation, it requires testing by your team. It requires your engineers to do some verification of the scenarios. With dual version, you can reduce this to just one migration, but and again, the most important thing, the most important value it brings to you, that besides some basic testing by your engineers, you can kind of outsource the testing of deep and strange scenarios to this pilot set of customers. And there are things which, no matter how hard you try in your lab, in your office, on the staging system, you just cannot test them. You cannot fully verify them until it's actually put in production with real customers. So it gives you an opportunity to do that. And dual version, yes, it does require additional set of system to be installed. It does require licensing. You can either purchase a traditional unlimited perpetual license. Then it's going to be your site, which you can use either for dual version or for as a regular backup site, do anything you want with it. You can launch it in the cloud. That's another option. So this alter ego system can run in the cloud. And also, if it's just something which you're considering for now and just for migration, please contact sales team. We can offer you a term license specifically for dual version for the purpose of completing the migration. Okay, just was it because we have some questions coming through Q&A and then we have a few coming through chat. So we have there are two windows. And there was a question whether a recording of this webinar will be available. Yes, there will be, definitely. It's been recorded. We'll process video and we're going to publish it sometime next week. Also, along with the other webinar we did on Tuesday for European customers. So if you have some colleagues who are not able to attend it in real time, they can always listen to it later on. Okay, I think that's it. I think we covered all the things we had submitted. Thank you, the participants. Thank you very much. If you come up with some question which you we just have like one last minute submission. So about the transcoding and whether it requires additional licenses. Right now, the codecs which we support is G711, G729, or ILBC. They are either free codecs to begin with, or they're codecs such as G729 for which patent has already expired. So there are no royalties required. And this means there are no specific purport royalties than anything. And it is it's a module of PortaSIP. So we have developed it there, so you get it as a part of your unlimited PortaSIP license. So there are no additional licenses required to specifically activate the feature. Only if it happens so that right now you have two PortaSIPs and they're perfectly fine handling your signaling and maybe your media proxying. But now once you start proxying, transcoding thousands of calls, you need to expand your PortaSIP capacity. That's obviously a license for an extra PortaSIP. But no feature licenses or no port licenses are required for transcoding. Okay, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, you can always send us a follow-up email, or you can meet PortaOne team at one of those upcoming trade shows. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day. Bye.